Hi, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Today, prep2grow is going to cover their performance for the last 5.5 months. Our baseline for our performance is our weekly 2 options and 2 stock subscription, and we'll be covering that in detail. Also, we'll be layering in an external benchmark that we've started to do with Motley Fools in a comparison of how they perform versus how we perform. We don't cover performance for active traders. As in the last month, we provided active traders with over 600 plus recommendations. Also, we don't provide performance in total for these kind of videos for our stock recommendations only, although in the last 5.5 months, we've been 98% success in terms of gaining at least a 5% profit on each and every trade. So let's just jump into where we're at. In the last 5.5 months, we've had 105 wins, meaning that it achieved at least 5% targeted gain for stocks or a 15% targeted gain for our options. We'll get into the actuals of what those gains were on average per trade. We have 12 active trades, and we have 3 losses in the last 5.5 months. So today we have 88% wins, 10% active with 3% losses. Compared to Motley Fools in the same time period, they've actually had 79% losses and only 20% of their recommendations made any form of gain. If we look at month over month wins versus active versus losses, June to August, we were over 90% accurate. September, October, we're over 80% accurate. And November, we're 75% accurate. We have outstanding options in stocks. Just note that every single one that is currently active has at least a May 2021 expiration date. We typically recommend long options for our subscribers, but coming up in November, end of November, we're going to start offering short to long options en masse to everybody. So our grand total again is 88% win rate, 3% loss rate, 10% active trades. If we look at the gain somebody would have made if they bought 1 share or 1 contract, for every recommendation we've made, they would have made 12,788. If you look at our blip down from 13,839, that's when we sold 3 of our losses. They were TripAdvisor, the longest one. Time to Gate got the better of it, plus the 3 COVID repeats certainly hurt the stock. The other 2, same kind of scenario. Not stay at home, but COVID recovery stocks that and options that didn't recover from the loss. So we sold those off. On average, we made $120 profit per trade, if you bought 1 share or 1 contract. It took 6 days to make that gain, and the average was a 22% per trade. If you did the same on Motley Fools, buying one of their recommendations or 1 share, you would be currently averaging a $9.75 loss per trade. Cost per trade in terms of distribution. The vast majority of our trades are less than $250. In this case, 57% of the trades are less than $257. We have a few high-priced ones. Again, this is going to be less of a factor when we have our new application releasing at the end of the month, where people can fully personalize their recommendations. So if they only want options less than $20 and stocks less than $10, that's the only recommendations that they're going to get. But again, the distribution is skewed heavy towards less than $250, which really reflects our subscriber base. If you look at Motley Fools, over 53% of their recommendations were greater than $250. Again, if you had bought them, you would have taken a loss on 79% of them. If we look at gain per trade, we're heavily skewed towards 11 to 20% gain. Our targeted gain on options is 15%. We believe in volume with an exceptionally high degree of accuracy. Again, continuous wins versus continuous losses. And you see that play out in our one share or one contract bot. It's a strategy that works. You would have made $12,000, $12,000. You would have had $1,000 in losses out of that $12,000. So it's a strategy that has proven effective for our subscribers. If you compare this to the Motley Fool, their gain on average was 4.1% per trade. So they lost 4% per trade. Not a good stat for Motley Fools. If you look at time to gain, we skew heavily on less than 10 days. 61% of our trades execute within 10 days. For our recommendations, they are long options. Stocks, there's really no time frame on them. But for options, the reason why we recommend long options is because of the nearly 3% that takes 60 to 180 days to execute. Prep2grow's strategy is the belief that to plan for worst case. So worst case is that 3%. And our goal, again, is continuous wins, not continuous losses. So that's why it reflects a long option strategy. Again, however, end of November, people can choose a short-term strategy, and our recommendations will be geared to being reflecting, again, the worst-case scenario for short-term options. And we'll get more to that as the actual product releases. If we look at our recommendation types, heavy on calls and stocks, or really the bull market that's been happening, less on puts. We've been using puts strategically where it makes sense in certain downturns in certain sectors. But the strategy, again, has been successful for us. We've recommended 85% unique companies, meaning we don't recommend the same old ETF every single week, nor do we recommend the same old stock that, like a Zoom, that seems to keep on going up, but crashed recently. And we recommend it across 9 different sectors. This is really part of our strategy around diversification. So not get too heavy in any one sector. Make sure that there's a balance across the sectors for growing sectors and declining sectors, and really play off of those markets and sectors well. So let's talk about the next 30 days. So this will be big for Prep2Grow. We're releasing our new web application for our subscribers, for all subscriptions, whether you're free or if you're on the paid subscription. It will be completely personalized, meaning that when you come into the site, we'll ask you for your preferences. And based upon those preferences in your subscription, you will only get what your preferences in your subscription really are set for. So again, if you only want every single option to be less than $20 per contract, that's what you get. Also, it'll be real time. Today, we give everything pre-market, and certainly in some cases, the market has moved strongly in the direction that we're hoping it would, which means that we weren't able to buy, our subscribers weren't able to buy those options. So what will happen now is when subscribers come into the site, they'll get recommendations that are based upon that moment, and there also will be updated within real time. Meaning, if you've liked one and you've bought it, and it's going in the right direction and sells, that specific one will tell you it's been executed, and you'll get the sell and alerts for your specific ones. There'll no longer be a mass email to everybody. It'll be alerts specific to your options and your trades that you're doing. We'll also be rolling out in mass unusual option activity. So everybody will have access to some form of unusual option activity. So for folks that like to make momentum trades, they can do that. We're providing scanning as well. So our filters are very heavy on the different types of scanning that is done within the market. So if you only want companies that have certain earnings per share and price to earnings forecasted for this kind of option volume to open interest, you're going to see those and scan for them within real time. We're also going to allow for simulation, or really paper trading. So if you like a stock, you just say you like it, you keep it, and you can watch what happens to it without ever having to execute a trade. So taking some of the risk out of people that are just getting into it. If they want to try new strategies, this is the way to do it. Scan all of our recommendations and the companies we track, like them, simulate them, and see what the outcome of their specific strategy is going to be, so you can start to try new strategies out. We also provide company forecasts now. So more, what's our forecasted revenue? What's our forecasted growth? Those sorts of things. Also be part of the scanning options that every subscriber will have. We'll also have auto trading integration, meaning that if you are signed up for our active trader subscription and do auto trading, if we sent over an auto trade recommendation, that will show up on the recommendations that you get and will be saved for you as you come into it, so you can see which ones were auto traded or requested to be auto traded on your behalf. Again, auto trading, our subscribers have control over that. Doesn't mean you actually bought it. It just means that we submitted it to be bought. And if it met your preferences, then it'll show up. We also have in the moments learning. So as you're going through and looking to buy something or sell something, as you're taking those actions, we'll provide learnings that are platform specific. So if you're seeing an option for the first time and you're on Robinhood, we'll have learnings there that are appropriate to walk you through every step of how to buy an option on Robinhood using our strategy. So we're very, very excited for this launch at the end of the month, and we'll have more details as it comes out in the next couple of weeks. Appreciate your time. Hope you have great trading, and take care.